I will now call this regular City Council meeting to order. Will everybody stand for the flag salute, please? So,
Please follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
so will you lead us in the invocation?
Yes. Blessed Father, we do thank you once again for allowing us to be here. We just ask that everything be done according to your purpose. We thank you for this council. We thank you for the staff that works so diligently for the people and all the programs of the community. We just thank you that you continually keep your watch care over us and your loving arms around us. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Chaidez?
Here.
Councilmember Schultz?
Here.
Councilmember Canada?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Heckerman?
Here.
Mayor Prida?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Presentations and proclamation. A proclamation to the Children's Medical Service proclaiming September 22nd through the 28th, 2006 as Childhood Injury Prevention Week. We also have another one, a proclamation to the American Red Cross declaring September 2006 as Preparedness Month.
Okay. Do we have anybody here to accept? Have anybody here to accept?
Okay.
Is the person for the childhood injury here this evening?
Evidently not.
American Red Cross? I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. They said they would be here. Maybe they're running late.
The mayor's. Might as well sit back down. Well, that's it.
Shut it.
That's it. They're not here.
They may be stuck in traffic.
If they show up, we can present it to them.
Okay.
Okay.
Oral communications, items on and not on the agenda. This is a time reserved for members of the audience wishing to speak on items on and not on the agenda. This period will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Maximum time allocated is 15 minutes. Anybody wishing to speak, please step forward and give us your name and address for the record.
We will be timing tonight, so please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
I am very disturbed, members of the City Council. I'm very disturbed with some of the more complaints that I've been advised of. Thank you. And about our development department, I guess some of the problems that we have are coming up where our county inspectors, maybe they didn't do their job right, and now we got city code inspectors taking over, stating some of the things that were done wrong. For instance, Mr. Jose Nunez over here, his house was built by the city, and apparently they didn't put a vent up in the garage. So our city code inspectors came over there and they cited him for not having that. Plus, he had a bed in his garage where he goes and takes naps whenever he wants to be left alone. That was also another issue with our city code inspectors. I mean, obviously nobody lives there. It's just for his own relaxation. It appears that any violations that we have here, we're automatically guilty. We're not, like our law says, you're innocent until proven guilty. Now over here in this city is you're guilty, now you got to prove your innocence. And that is very insensitive to our residents. That's intimidation done like Hitler, Mao, Stalin, the same tactics. Going in there, saying, hey, your neighbor made a complaint that you're doing this, you're doing that, and they go right in there and they start taking pictures, they start citing you, and the residents don't know what's going on. So they automatically have to come over here and pay their fine without any explanation. And I know that this city is financially well, thanks to Mr. Moskowitz. So I don't think this $300, $800 fines you're giving our residents, I don't think the city really needs that money. Because you're squeezing money out of our residents here who work for a living. And every dollar counts. Some people, our department, Mr. Colombo here, I'm pretty sure that he lives well due to our city employing him with the help of the same residents he's been citing, paying their taxes. And I'm pretty sure he don't complain about that.
Okay,
You
your
mean to tell
time
me-
is up, sir.
You mean to tell me that I have to stop after 3 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the rule here? Is this how you're going to keep us shut up over here? Is city council? Is this what you're going to enforce us to do? You have the say so.
I don't mind. We've never enforced the 3-minute rule since I've been here. I've been here for
I'm pretty sure that we
7.
had the same thing with the old city council that was finally moved out, and Mr. Chaitis, you remember you used to come over here and spend an hour talking to these people. So
Madam Mayor, it's up to the council if you would like to. The 3-minute rule is on the agenda, but it's up to the council to waive that if you'd like. So if the council would think so, you can do that.
Okay, all in favor? Should we wait?
Well, I think what, looks like we have an awful lot of people out there this evening. And would you be willing to go for maybe a 5-minute period rather than 3? Because otherwise, sir,
well, what
I
I'm
think we're going to be
doing,
here all night
sir,
otherwise.
is I'm also speaking with some of the people who are not going to speak. So it's going to be the same thing. Either they get up and speak in Spanish to you, and it's going to take the same amount of time or more, or you just let me say a few things for them. It's up to you.
Take the time.
Thank you.
I don't want to be accused of stating that you haven't been able to have your say. So,
I don't have that much. Anyway, all I want is, I think these people that were cited should have their money back. They should get their money back because they were just forced to pay it off without no explanation. Some of the codes, it should be a county inspection. The ones who have degrees of structural engineering and stuff like that, these guys are making decisions now for the county inspectors. And that is not right. And also the reason I'm also asking for some of the fines to be, they should all be turned back to the residents if they have fixed their problems, the discrepancies. If they fix them, why should they pay for that? I mean, you just go over there and tell them, hey, this is wrong, boom, it's $350. Mr. Jose Nunez over here, he was cited for washing his car in the driveway. You can't wash your car in the driveway? Is this true? He can't park his cars in his driveway between the hours of 8 to, I think he said 6 o'clock or something in the evening. Then at night he could park them in his driveway. They would rather have the cars out on the street. It doesn't, I mean, does this make any sense? So I'm pretty sure that I hope you members of the city council, being that you are representing us, the citizens, residents of this town who voted you in, should have reasons to think about these fines that these people got for just for the sake of it. And that's about all I have to say. So like I said, you, the city council, are the ones that made these laws, and this department is just enforcing them. So if you're going to do that, you also should make sure they are enforced right, without no favoritism, because there was a lot of favoritism, and lots of it. In fact, some of them is being fixed now. I noticed, I drove around the city where some of these people who were left alone, now all of a sudden they're fixing their discrepancies. And that was due to the complaints that we've been complaining about, favoritisms. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Pete Schnaufer. I'm a full-time business agent for American Federation of State County Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO. We're not going to leave these 4 or 5 employees in the lurch. Juan Serrano is the president of our rank-and-file AFSCME unit. Glenn Cornejo is the president of our management unit, and I'm business agent for both groups. Tonight, we're making common cause. Our cause is giving confidence to these 4 or 5 employees. They will sleep like babies tonight because the union is strong and our cause is right. Our employees are following the policy of the council, the policy adopted by the council. The city manager then takes that policy and instructs his staff in following the policy. That's what we're doing. We're moving towards even greater professionalism here in Awoyan Gardens. As you know, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council, I've been lucky enough, probably luckier than I should be, in representing the employees in Bellflower, Cerritos, Artesia, and ABC School District. There's much greater professionalism here in the Gardens, and it's because of all 5 members of the council, plus the staff, and plus the citizens. It's a pleasure always to come to Awoyan Gardens. And as you know, when trouble comes, the union stands up. When someone plays politics with your job, you don't deviate. You don't shrink and you don't shiver. You don't duck and dive. Instead, you show confidence. You square your shoulders. You have pride in your eyes. And that's why professionals have their associations, and that's why professionals have their unions. I agree with Councilperson Chaidez that these discussions should occur in public. I watched the tape last time, and I agree with him that if everything is done by filing a formal complaint, one-on-one meeting with somebody at City Hall, a lot of these times these matters don't get discussed. On the other hand, they can be discussed in a way in which the professionalism of the employees can be protected. Now, AFSCME is not an expert in planning or code enforcement, as several people are in the room. But we are an expert in defending employees. And remember, these 4 or 5 employees are following orders. Council sets policy, not the 4 or 5 employees. Now, this is a free society, as the gentleman just said, but it's a free society also for those 4 or 5 employees. They're entitled to a bill of particulars. Not just 5 or 6 months ago, somebody came into my backyard or into my front house, into my house. If that's true, then the city manager should be called, or the cops should be called. Jones or Smith or Hernandez walked into my house today without even knocking. And then if that's true, the employee should be dealt with. But if it's 4 or 5 months later and it's just vague comments, then somebody's playing politics with our jobs, and we don't like that. AFSCME's a strong union. We have 1,300,000 members nationwide. We stand behind our employees. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else?
Yeah, my name is Felipe Lopez, and I'm here to stand up, speak for my father. All right, on the same thing that Mr. Reynaldo had spoke earlier. My father was out on vacation, and when he was gone, they show up for a second time to, without his permission, to inspect the place, take pictures of it, and he doesn't know nothing about this. He's on vacation. He comes back. My sister calls me and says, well, Mr. Licon was here taking pictures and came in to inspect the premises when probably about a year ago he had been there to check it out. And he said, just change the garage door and that's fine. The garage door was changed. Okay, and here on this report, it still states that the garage door needs to be fixed and other items, but he said just the garage door and it's fine. But he came back from vacation and he gets this fine for $736.88. He came back from vacation. Now he doesn't have this money to spend, to fit, to do all this stuff. He asked for time to pay this or to get it fixed, and when he asked them to give him some time, to pay up these dues, they said, we're not a finance company. We're not a bank, which is wrong. And if he's asking for permission to get this fixed, he should be given the time. And if he was there, before, and he just said, fix the door, the garage door, and that's fine, what makes him come back? I'll tell you right now, there is favoritism, and I've seen it because I don't think in his house they have a fine this big. But sure, this last week there's been a dumpster out there, big, dumping a bunch of stuff in it. Now, if you've driven around there, you'll notice that dumpster. Why? Oh, how come he can come back over here? Now we get a fine. And during the repairs, because we have to rush to get this done, my dad fell. He got injured. He got taken in an ambulance. The city didn't make up for those bills. Now, if that pressure wouldn't have been on them, they would have gave him that time. He wouldn't have fell. We would have taken that. It's down now, but we wouldn't have rushed it. And it's down now, and we still had to come up with a $736 payment, which that's not right. I feel like he said, all this, there should be some kind of standard. Let the people know, what's going to happen, what has to be done. This meeting's going to come out in this little press that you guys send out probably next month or whatever. I see the things, like I was just telling Mr. Marquez, congratulating him for his city administrator job. I found that out about 2 weeks ago that I got in the mail. That's pretty sad. We're getting better, but we're not getting news out ahead of time, letting our people know or letting us know, hey, this has to be done. Warn them, give them a fair chance. The city has come a long ways. It's doing a lot better. But hey, don't hurt the people who are actually trying to fix it and work with you guys. Turn around and actually look at the people who are out there, actually do have people living in their places who are taking advantage of the city. I can't even go and park at my dad's house when I go to visit him because there's like 50 cars all over the street. You can't park there. And this is during the week. Come on, obviously, if they told you somebody's living in the garage and nobody's living there, check everybody. Don't just check, the house that you feel you've been there before. And if you go down there, it's torn down. And 30 days for what my dad has done, okay, it probably wasn't done with permits, but he has been there a year before and he said it was fine. Okay, just take care of this now. A year later, he's on vacation, comes back, and a $736 payment. Talk to us, tell us what we need to do, give us a chance to fix it. But don't just show up on surprise notices. And if the owner's not there, you don't walk into somebody's house and start taking pictures. My mother came over and started telling him, this is the way we got some of this on our property. He goes, well, you bought the house with the problems. I don't think so. What does escrow do? When you buy homes, when you buy something, don't they go through and check everything? They check and they got to verify that it meets limits. It's been there for a long time, all right? He's been there a year ago. Now, why all of a sudden he's got this? You know, at least come back and say, hey, I told you I'm going to give you another chance or whatever. Write it up, give him a time, and if that doesn't get done at that time, hey, you got a fine coming. You know, if we're trying to work with you, tear it down, wait, we can't meet this time. Give us an extension because we're working towards it. You know, people work. They can't just come right off of work and, you know, do another 8-hour job trying to tear down everything you've built there. And it's been there for, you know, since I can remember, because I helped my dad put some of that stuff up. And I'm 36 years old. And that was before I was 15. Why all of a sudden now? You know? There's a lot of discrepancies in our city. And we're coming out here and looking at the resident who's trying to work at, you know, to work and be better with your city. When something, you know, that's happening that's obvious, you know, like these undercover dealerships. Oh, you drive through the city all day and you don't see them? You know, you don't see them? Hey, I see them. I've even bought a car off them. You know? I bought a car off them. And why? Our city people who go around checking, they don't see what's convenient for them. And that's not right. If you're going to do this, do it for everybody even. And yes, I do feel that this, you know, should be given some more time because I've taken 3 weekends tearing this stuff down. My dad got hurt. You know, I even feel that due to that pressure, he should get reimbursed for his, you know, ambulance and hospital bills. Because we're trying to work with what you guys said, but, you know, he comes back from vacation and gets that. That's not right. Especially when your representative has been there. And that's all I have to say.
My name is Isabel Delgadillo. I live at 22201 Clarkdale Avenue. I totally agree with the young man that's saying about the undercover dealerships that are around Hawaiian Gardens. In fact, I know my sisters probably complained about it, calling the cops or calling somebody about this man fixing cars, or he just has them parked on the street and he moves them from, you know, certain days to another day, depending on the street sweeper. Also, I think the city, the people, the residents need to be informed about these new codes or change of codes. I don't remember reading things about how the codes are changed and how if people who had fixed their houses many, many years ago and all of a sudden they're being charged because the code changed. I mean, how could that be? That doesn't seem fair to me. Also, some people cannot afford to fix their houses. I mean, you need to work with the community. You need to give them chances. I heard there's a new program, the housing rehab program, where now supposedly they're allowing residents to fix their houses. Okay, provide that service to our residents, because there's people who cannot afford to fix their houses. But I also want to say, people who are renting these houses that do not live in the area, they should not be taking advantage of that opportunity, because they live outside of their area and they're renting houses to people who can barely afford the houses that they're living now. And if they're fixing them up, we don't know if they'll raise the prices or raise the rent for these people who are living in those houses. So you need to consider that too. And also, like I said, you know, people who are renting the houses that don't live in the area, they're not just renting the house. They're probably renting the garage. They're probably renting the bedrooms, you know, to not more than just one family. So I think you need to crack down on those people instead of cracking down on people who can barely make their house payments and fixing up their houses. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Keith Shutt, and I own the property at 12522 121st Street. And I understand that I'm on agenda tonight to take my property and turn it into a parking lot. Well, I have a remedy that might be good for all parties involved. My land is 9,000 square feet. The R2 lots are 5,000 square feet. There's a remnant lot of 4,000 square feet that's on the side of me that faces the school. I propose that you can buy that from me, turn that into the parking lot, and let me retain my house and the land that it's on for the 5,000 square feet there. That should go and give you enough cars to park, be able to go and give the people around relief that are in the neighborhood, and that the properties that are, if you take my land and build a parking lot, the houses and that are right next to it will lose up to between 5 and 10% in value. And this way, if you go and you buy that land, you compensate the 5%, buy the lot, I'm willing to sell that to you, rather than take the whole entire 9,000 square feet, which I'm not willing to give up. So at this point, this is what I propose. I think this would be a compromise. And I really don't want to have to go through the legal battle, but I'm prepared to if we need to. That's all I have to say. Do you know what you were proposing, sir?
Sir, we'll take your suggestions under our closed session when we do that. Thank you.
Am I allowed to be present at the closed?
No, sir.
I see. Thank you.
But we will engage in a dialogue with you after your suggestions and talking to the council. So, you know, your points are well taken.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Resolutions. A1, adopt resolution number 077-2006, a request from the Community Development Department to award an agreement for professional architectural services to Javani Architecture in an amount of $156,400, and to authorize the Community Development Director to add optional services up to an additional $20,000 for the design of the library and community safety center. Staff report.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. As you know, we've been making progress on the subject property regarding the construction of a new library. We still do have one tenant there. However, we are proceeding with the plans and specifications, and we went through an informal RFP process. Two proposals came in, the low bidder being Jubani. I'm going to recommend, though, that we change the dollar figure of the $156,400 to $145,000, as I was able to negotiate a lower price and delete some unnecessary items.
So it's 145 now instead of 156?
Right. That would be for the design services. What this resolution basically does is authorizes the staff to engage in the services of an architectural firm to prepare plans and specifications for the construction of the new library and public safety center, which will also house the computer room and the EOC center.
Okay, I'm going to move to waive further reading, and based on Joe's recommendation, adopt Resolution 077-2006 at what, 146, how much?
It'll be $145,000. There is an option of $20,000 in case we do need additional services. So the contract that will be signed with the city would be for $145,000.
145,000 with the option of 20,000.
Right, and that's the way the resolution is worded.
I'll second that.
All right.
Do I hear a second?
You
Got
got
a
it.
second with Leonard.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item A2, adopt resolution number 078-2006, approving pre-issue warrants and regular warrants in the amount of $611,979.52.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Chaydes?
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz? Yes. Councilmember Canada?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Heckerman?
Yes.
Mayor Prida?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. A3, adopt resolution number 079-2006, a request from the Community Development Department approving an amnesty period of 180 associated calendar days to waive all building department fees associated with the Code Enforcement Division. Staff report.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, as we've listened for the past 2-3 council meetings, we are cognizant that there are some issues out there, and I believe that we do need to address some of these issues to a certain extent, and that's why we do have this item on the agenda. What this item would do basically is provide for a 180-day amnesty period for waiving building department fees for code enforcement related issues. But I think it's also important to note that we're not trying to create a financial burden on any of the residents. We're not trying to balance the city's budget with any of these fees. A lot of these numbers I hear out there, they're not exactly fines. They're building department building permit fees. They're not necessarily fines. As you know, code enforcement is done more at administrative level. City Council sets the policy. And that's the way we've approved this program, and that's the way traditionally it is done throughout many municipalities throughout the state, where we've approved an administrative process to deal with the code violations out there. And so what I thought I'd do is share some photos and see how what some of the conditions are out there in the community, and how this program, how this new program that we're going to institute tonight could help to deal with some of these issues that we have out there, including some of the reduction of the fees that we're going to be instituting at the administrative level. I've divided the type of violations out there into the same category.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but some of these pictures, some of the homeowners have complied, right?
Right. I'll explain.
This is just an example of some of the conditions that we have out there.
These are what I've done is I needed to analyze. I needed to find out what type of cases we have out there. Okay, and what I've done is basically gone into the city's server and analyzed the type of code enforcement cases that we're dealing with out there. These cases, some of them are this year, some are last year, some this month, some last month. They're just different type of cases. And they're just for illustrative purposes only. I have no knowledge or clue of any of these cases for the most part, because I don't micromanage the code enforcement program to that extent where I'm very familiar with every individual case. Okay, so as far as some of these cases may have complied, some may have not, I'm not sure. But again, it's to illustrate to the council who's not involved at the administrative level of code enforcement what's going on with some of these code violations that exist out there. Some of the code violations that are out there, for example, something like this, doesn't require a building permit. Okay, if you get a warning notice, you just take it down, and that's pretty much it. The fines occur when you don't listen to one of the code enforcement officers' deadlines or just ignore the warning citation. Like I said earlier, you don't get a citation for zoning or building code violations. You have to get a warning notice first. That is state law, and that's what this council adopted. Okay. And so I'm going to show you some of these slides right here, and there's quite a few of them, but I'm going to go through them very fast. These represent, I know there's been an issue with the canopies, and in doing my research in these canopies, what I've noticed is that most of these canopies are in the front yard, and a great majority are being used for carports. A few of them, maybe 4 or 5, were used for playground equipment. Okay. A few of them are for storage. This is one that's used for playground equipment in the back. I see a slide and some swings. This one's used for storage of vehicle. That one, let me go back. This one, I believe there could be some habitable issues in this one. And some of these may be okay. The one to the right, not so much of an issue. The one to the left potentially could be an issue. It's not that we don't allow canopies in the city. We have a policy that we're following that you've asked us to adopt and consider, and that's what we're doing. This one's obviously okay. Here's an example of one that's fine. Again, we did not prohibit canopies in the city. This one actually meets setback requirements. This one has playground equipment in it. This one's about to fall over. This one, they probably took that one because it's torn up. Like I said, a lot of these are being used for carports, and most of the time when we do find these things being used for carports, we end up finding a lot of other violations, and some of them are associated with garage conversions. This one, I believe, was torn up. That's a playground one. Both of them have, I think, a couple apiece on this one. This canopy is bigger than the house. I'm not sure what the purpose of this one canopy is, but like I said, a lot of these do get used for the vehicles rather than the play equipment.
Is that my dog? Yeah, you take it down. Yeah, you took it down.
Okay. These are pretty much photos regarding canopies. Again, not a major violation, as one of the council members had indicated regarding garage conversions. Those are a little bit more serious because they deal with a lot of health and safety issues. But here's another code violation that's very prominent in the city where deals with vehicles being parked in the front yard. This one's obviously using the handicap ramp to park in the front yard. This one's very typical throughout the city, and we do enforce this type of a code violation. This has happened very commonly where they take out the front yard and just put concrete instead of the grass, and that's a zoning requirement to have a front yard.
Jesus.
Okay. And next, we'll do the garage conversions. Okay, this photo here, I believe this appears to be somewhat of a shed. And keep in mind, again, I can't stress out that we cannot see a lot of these code violations from the street. Okay, we need a reason to go on the property. We need a complaint, or we need some type of probable cause. And a lot of the garage conversions you cannot identify just by doing a drive-by off the street. And most of these conversions come to us via a complaint or because we were there investigating some other issues. And again, as I stated earlier in the previous meeting, we have to abide by the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. It's the same one that the Sheriff's Department has to abide by. I need some type of probable cause to go on the property. I need a complaint. Okay, I just can't walk on somebody's property and start investigating somebody's home and see if they have a garage conversion or not. This one's another one. That's the air conditioning unit. Here's one indicator that gives us an indication that there is a garage conversion. We notice a lot of doors are sealed for obvious reasons, but and this is pretty popular when there seems to be some type of a garage conversion. This one has some type of a awning system or patio system in front of the garage. Again, not allowing ingress, egress for a garage. And that structure that big requires a permit. That's supposed to be the front of a garage, I believe. These are all garage conversions, and some in one shape or another, all garage conversions or have the appearance to be a garage conversion. This one's been added on to the side yard, and the window, something like that, would give an appearance based on our experience that they've been turned into garage conversions. Here's a shed in front of a garage. Again, the garage must be utilized for the parking of 2 vehicles or 1 vehicle if you have a garage. If you put a structure or some type of object in front of it, now you've blocked the ingress, egress of a vehicle. And I know that one of the biggest complaints we have is that we're not utilizing the garages like they were designed to be. Garage is a zoning code requirement, not a building code requirement. The purpose of the garage, again, is to meet the minimum parking requirements of the zoning code. Okay. Here's another very popular one where they take I see this mostly with the single-car garages, where they take the single-car garage and they section it off, and they end up using 2/3 of it for living space and the other third for maybe tools or storage of some sort. Even though there's nobody living in here, as far as I can see, it's still a conversion. There's different degrees of conversions. This is a garage conversion. This one's cemented in. Okay. The next one will deal with property maintenance. Okay. Again, these are conditions that we have observed out there in the community, and we deal with them. And I have to be honest, though, for the most part, a great majority of the residents in the city comply. Okay. Very few cases get cited. We have a very high compliance rate when it comes to dealing with these type of situations. A great majority of them comply. Sure, we have a great number of cases that we've been pursuing right now because we've been given the resources, we've been given that direction. So obviously, there's a lot more attention right now because we are enforcing a lot more cases at this point. We used to average about 200-300 cases a year in the past. Well, now you have 3 officers, you have consultants, you have staff providing administrative work. Now you're processing 200-300 cases a month. Okay, that's an extensive amount of cases out there. And these pictures that I'm showing you right now have nothing to do with the new zoning code. Okay, these are conditions, okay, that just cannot exist on these properties because it's also not fair for the neighboring property. Okay. It's got nothing to do with this current code. In fact, it's got nothing to do with the previous zoning code. And the previous zoning code prior to that was the county zoning code. This is a minor issue, okay? And I'm sure there's a lot of other pictures that were minor that I did not include in here that were very petty and they've complied. But this is where it starts. It becomes a minor issue, and then it just escalates because these pictures that I'm showing you right now did not get to that extent just overnight. It took a lot of time to get to that point, okay? But this is lack of, this lack of maintenance. There should be no reason for it. And if there is, we would like to know what the reason is. Some of these structures are about to fall down. This one's a carport, and I guess there's some type of wall here or parapet, but that's a door. Okay. This is something that was in the new zoning code, and again, when we adopted that new zoning code, I think we were all present. We all discussed the various issues of the zoning code. We all discussed the direction of the zoning code and the policies and where we were heading with this. We had community meetings. I think we've had a few of those. We had workshops. We had several of those. And I did something that I did something that the code. I did something that's beyond the code. Okay. when I notify the residents in the city, I believe the code doesn't require that I notify every single resident door by door or every tenant, in which I did that on more than one occasion. Okay? In that public hearing notice, I told them that we were going to deal with property maintenance issues. And we've had several people show up at some of these meetings, as you recall, some of the council members that were part of that committee. So I extensively went beyond the code requirement when it came to the notification process, because one of the things that I heard a lot when they adopted the general plan, and I was not part of that process in 1994, is that we heard that they weren't notified. I don't know if they were and weren't. I would imagine that my predecessors did follow those procedures. Okay, and now we have a document here that's going to affect the community, and I wanted to make sure that everybody was notified, because I didn't want to hear complaints that they were saying they were not notified. They were notified in more than one occasion, and I even went through the post office and I made sure that every single occupant and property owner was notified on more than one occasion. So in this particular instance, we included a section in there regarding household furniture in general. Okay, that stuff generally stays on the inside. This one is not as bad, and they wouldn't have gone after this house for those 2 chairs, but we've seen many times where they have these stuffed couches on the front of the porch, and I just don't want to get into what else happens there.
Well, if I can, I'll address some issues that you're bringing up here. I mean, certainly you're going to show probably the most drastic pictures of City Hawaiian Gardens. I don't doubt that. But I don't think that's what these people are talking about.
Please let me finish my staff report, and then we can get into the council reports.
No, you don't shut a councilman up, okay? All right, I'm talking, I have a floor. It's time you know who the heck's running this place. And I think all 5 of us are running this place, and we want something to say, we'll say it, okay? So let me tell you something. You're going to show the most dramatic pictures here, okay? And get everybody worked up. And you say, we passed policies. But some of the nightmare stories I've heard out there in the community are stories about people pulling up tomato plants. I don't seem to remember that we passed a policy against tomato plants. I don't seem to remember a lot of the policies, like washing a car, before 5 o'clock or things like that. I think this is the issues that these people are talking about. People aren't going to argue with you about cleaning those properties up that you showed, Mr. Colombo, and they're not going to do that. They're not going to argue with you with that. But they're going to argue with the department is the unreasonableness that seems to confront them at times when the most ridiculous of charges seem to hit at times. And that's what we're saying about. We're not going to argue with you about, or I don't think anybody here in this town is going to argue with you about garage conversions or illegal structures, okay? But it seems to me that the complaints that we have heard are not those pictures right there, okay? The complaints that we've heard are completely different. They're not really a real big problem, and people are being threatened with fines for the most minuscule type of offenses, and you don't even know if they're offenses because you ask, "Where's your policy on tomato plants?" If you're going to cite somebody on a tomato plant, let's see that. I'd like to see that myself. I don't seem to remember voting anything about people that they can't have a tomato plant in their front yard, And I don't have anything against tomato plants, But, you're going to show these, and the council is going to look at that and say, "Oh, yeah, dude, that's terrible. We should clean it up." Well, yeah, you're darn right we should clean it up. But I don't think that's what these people are here for today. And that is what I've been hearing out in the community. What I've been hearing out in the community are the kind of complaints that staff are insensitive, okay? They cite for minuscule things, and they bypass other things. I don't have any argument about things like what you're showing there. I don't think some of these people do either. But I think that there should be some kind of sensitivity training for our staff. I think there also has to be some kind of written guidelines, some kind of statutory guidelines that tells the citizens what we're going to enforce and how we're going to enforce it. And procedures need to be taken place for the staff. If not, we're going to shoot from the hip on this thing, and somebody can make up stuff, okay? And if people don't ask what the policy is, and ask that person what the policy is, well, they say, well, we just have it in policy, and that's what the council has passed. So I don't seem to remember tomato plants, but you know what? That woman had to pull her tomato plant up. She's going to say, well, the council did that, now the blame's on us, okay? And I'm saying, hey, wait a minute. I didn't vote on anybody, growing vegetables in their front yard, saying that that's against our policy. If it is, I guess it's time we should change that policy. And I think there should be other times we should change some of the policies. The canopies that we have up, I don't have a problem with canopies on the side yard. I think in the front yard they're unsightly, but a canopy on the side yard, even if it's not in the side yard setback, if the water doesn't run down on your neighbor's driveway or your neighbor's property, who cares? I'm fine with that. I just think that people, when they see these canopies, when code enforcement sees the canopies, it's like a free-for-all. They just see one canopy and boom, they go after them. And they use just about anything that they can in order to tell people that they have to take the canopy down, rather than saying, well, the canopy can stay up if it's within the side yard setback area. They don't tell them that. They tell them, you got to take the canopy down, okay? Or we're going to fine you. And I'm saying, hey, you know what? Maybe what we should do is change the policy on canopies and not worry about them, whether they're in the side yard setback, as long as the water doesn't drain off into your neighbor's yard. Let's use some common sense. We're a common sense city government. This is Hawaiian Gardens. We got folks here, okay, in town who are being affected by this. They're not bad folks. They're good folks. They're trying to do what they can. They're working hard. They're doing what they can. I don't think this show here is what they're looking at. We're all in favor of cleaning up. I don't think there's a city council person here at this in this forum here who sees those pictures there, doesn't say, well, we'd like to see that cleaned up. Okay? And I'm glad we have the staff that does that kind of thing. Okay? I'm glad we have code enforcement that does see this kind of stuff. But you know what? It's just like everything else. You can't go push too far when it comes down to what your interpretation of what a violation is, as opposed to what's reasonable. And I think that's what has to happen. We need to get a clear, concise statutory book or some kind of statutory manual that says, or a code enforcement manual, that actually explains what is legal and what's not legal and how the staff handle it, and so that the public can take a look at that and actually see what's going on. I think that's very reasonable. I think that's the right way to go. I have no argument with that picture. I have no argument with the pictures that you've shown that are drastic. I just have an argument with the way we handle some things and what's important to the people of the city of Hawaiian Garden. I'm here to represent them. They elected me, okay? And I understand. They're making common sense. They make some common sense. And I'm into common sense for government. I'm sorry. I think we're all for common sense. So.
Well, as I stated previously at prior council meetings, there's always two sides of the story, Mayor, okay? If there is a complaint regarding one of the officers, we have a procedure for that, okay? Please file the complaint with the city administrator. We need to hear what's going on in these cases, because when I hear a one-sided story, I have to hear the other side of the story as well, okay? I can't make a judgment just because I hear one side of the story, because washing your vehicle in the driveway, we don't have a code regarding you can't wash your vehicle on your property or on your driveway. So I don't know where that's coming from, okay? The tomato plants, I don't know any, only tomato plants I know that we had an issue out there was on this big vacant lot, and the entire vacant lot was a tomato field. So I don't know what, until, I need to hear both sides of the stories, Mayor, okay? We have a procedure. We need to bring the cases to the city administrator. He then calls us in, we look at the case file, and we see what the history is there, okay? But let me finish real quickly, because...
Joe, let me intervene for a second. Part of the reason I asked Joe to put this slideshow together is I think, and I'm going to accept accountability for this, we haven't done our part in educating our residents. You heard it from them, and you're hearing it from me. We have to spend more time now, and we have a plan in place. We're going to be holding several community workshop meetings. Please attend.
But we have in the past.
Yes, we have, Michi, but a lot of people, unfortunately,
Residents have not showed up.
a lot of people, for some reason or another, have not participated. But once again, I think we have to do our due diligence and educate them. That's number one.
We've discussed this.
But, you're not going to hit every person in the city with a meeting, because you're going to find out that there are some people who are not going to attend.
You're absolutely right, but as long as we put a good faith effort to try and reach out to the community, educate them, whether it be the community workshops, the newsletters, multiple flyers, we're going to do our part. We have the webpage also that we can use as a multimedia to educate them. We're going to do whatever we can to educate them first. Another thing that was brought up, and I was not here at the last council meeting, but I did have an opportunity to meet with multiple residents. Not all of them. I believe I was not able to meet with only one of the residents that showed up to speak here. But part of the concern is our customer service. Mr. Colombo and I talked in length about that. And we don't only get complaints about customer service and code enforcement. I get those citywide. So we've contacted a PR firm that does customer service skills training. We're going to require all our employees to get trained on a yearly basis. So are we addressing the concerns? Yes, we are. It's going to take time, unfortunately, but we're just asking for the residents to work with us too. If you have complaints, come see me. I will address them. I will.
Just to reinforce that, Mayor, Ernesto and I had great lengths and discussion what the plan of action ought to be regarding the education component, because there is one component that we do need to address, and it's not going to be easy, but we do need to educate the public on what some of these codes are, and we've discussed the various issues that need to be dealt with as far as the website, the brochures, the community workshops, and Councilmember Canada's right. If they don't attend, we can only go so far. We've even taken a step further, and we've addressed the issue with the city attorney and told them that we would like to have a code enforcement manual. I'd like to have a code of ethics manual. Okay, we've already hired the city attorney's office to handle that for us. Okay, but there's only so much we can do, though. We still have these codes to deal with, and we still have a lot of code enforcement cases out there. These pictures represent pretty much a clear picture of what's going on out there. Certainly that there are some that are petty, but these pictures speak for themselves. A majority of these cases are what you're seeing right here, okay? Especially when it comes to the illegal structures and the garage conversions that we're not able to see. And we don't really have an accounting or an ability to find out how many of these are out there, but they just keep popping up everywhere. These are the ones with the illegal structures. Mm-hmm. These are very hard to see from the street. Okay, but these structures are not safe, don't have permits, or have been added on, and people live in these structures. Okay?
And Joe, you're saying the code enforcement officer cannot walk on the property?
No, we usually get a complaint. or if we happen to see it ourselves. I've got to have something to go on that property because they're right. I don't have the authority to just barge right in. Okay. However, if I have a suspicion that there is a code violation, and the attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, okay, if I have a suspicion that there is a code violation that's not in agreement with the city codes or county or whatever code, I then have an obligation then to go either through the city prosecutor's office or city attorney, go before the court and obtain an inspection warrant. Is that correct, John?
That's
Okay.
correct.
That, I have that obligation, okay? And I have to tell you, though, again, most people comply. I think we've only had to utilize the inspection warrant maybe 4 or 5 times in the last 15 years. Okay? Most people comply, and most people let them in and do what needs to be done and inspect the property. Okay?
When you give warnings on the canopies,
They all get warnings on canopies.
how many days do they have to actually down
It varies anywhere from 5 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, depending on the scenario. A lot of people want extensions. They tell us that they're sick or they're on vacation. Just, we have an internal policy that we don't let anything go beyond 30 days. Anything beyond 30 days has to be approved by the director. Okay, there was a directive also from the administrator's office that we need to work with these folks at the same time, but make sure that we follow up on the compliance. Some of these cases have been given a great deal of extensions for a long period of time. And those files are documented. Okay? We will work with the community. We will help them try to
seeing
resolve.
some of these pictures, I know for a fact that our city is the only one that has cleanup. But we have bins out there every, 2 months or every other
2 months
month
we have
or
a block
whatever.
cleanup
Every
program,
other
So,
yes.
I mean, we shouldn't have some of these houses that look like they have collected trash for a long time. Because we have this, and we've had this program for a long time, many, many years. And
Well, we
so-
we have a couple items on the agenda tonight that's going to help the community, okay? We're going to try to soften this up a tab, okay? I just need to let the council know to see what's going on out there, because, again, this is an administrative function. I was surprised to see some of these pictures myself, okay?
Yeah.
And once again, any complaints filed through my office, I am taking extremely serious on a personal level, and you can ask residents, I'm even going to visit them. So
We need that.
if I feel that they were treated unfairly, then we deal with it.
I think
I'm not gonna wait.
I think we're beginning to take the right steps here with the training program, as you mentioned, and things like
Right.
that. Yeah, we've definitely needed to get caught up on a lot of this, and I think we're taking the right steps in this next resolution. This resolution that's before us right now, I think we're taking the right step there if the council goes in favor of it. It's all aimed at trying to work with you, the residents. We have another resolution coming up on another portion of our agenda this evening under RDA that will deal with rehabs, and you'll hear that as it comes up. So we're trying to work with you, believe it or not. I know some of you think that we're not, but we actually are, and that's another reason why we do hold these workshop meetings and community meetings and things like that, so that you can be made aware of what we are trying to do and to get your concerns at the same time so that we can work together.
Okay, Madam Mayor, let me just go through these real quick, because again, we do have a couple items on the agenda, like Vice Mayor Pro Tem Heckerman mentioned, that are actually going to help the community try to address some of these issues. I can't promise that every one of these issues will be resolved in their favor, because they need to still comply with current regulations. But we're going to get into that very shortly, okay? And lastly, here's a couple more photos there. Here's an outdoor wash basin of some sort. I'm not sure where that's draining to, but that, again, these are the conditions that we do find out there, okay? These are very unsafe conditions, and there are hundreds of them out there, okay? We're in September right now. Like I said, we average 200 to 300 cases. And I think up to September right now, we've processed up to 800 complaints for this year, pending up to now. Okay, this is a room addition to a trailer. Okay, there's a washer and dryer outside. I'm not sure where that's draining as well. And I don't think that's too comfortable. This is in the middle of a residential zone, and I believe this person is manufacturing countertops of some sort. I mean, this is a major health issue.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen this photo before. Okay, this is a room addition built over a swimming pool.
Swimming pool thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This doesn't seem much of a violation, but believe it or not, it is. It's an NPDES violation. Okay? And that's going to be part of our education component. In fact, we do have a consultant already on board regarding NPDES. In fact, they're going to be out at the Dead End Street Fiesta that we're going to have this weekend, this Saturday, right, Ernesto? And I do have an NPDES consultant out there to deal with the various NPDES violations out there. Okay? So, again, you have resolution number 79-2006 before you. Again, what this thing is doing is it's going to waive building permit fees, all of them, if you believe you have a garage conversion or a room addition or any type of improvements that you believe may have occurred on the property, whether it's a kitchen, a bathroom, a plumbing of some sort, electrical stuff that you've done on the property. Just let us know, and all we're interested in is the building permit. Okay, we're not interested in the money. Again, we're not trying to create a financial burden on the people. We're not trying to balance the budget. We want to address the issues out there because they are a safety hazard out there and a health hazard.
So,
Okay.
so Joe, if I have an illegal, if I think I have an illegal structure in the backyard, an illegal bedroom or bathroom, what do I do?
Just come to the front counter in the community development department and come and see the staff.
So I'm not going to
Whether it
get
be-
fined, right?
No, there's no citation involved. If you come to us, there's no citation. Okay.
It's very important for everyone to understand
Okay.
this. For the next 180 days,
That's 6 months, okay? If you come to the city, you come to the community development department, okay, and you see the building inspector or code enforcement officer, let them know what possible conditions are out there and let them check it out, okay? Obviously, if it's a garage conversion, I can't help you in letting you keeping it, but you won't get fined, okay? And you're not going to be required to obtain a building permit, okay? And that's one positive approach, one step that we're taking in trying to deal with the situation out there. Okay.
And we're going to advertise this somewhere.
This will be advertised in the,
Well, no.
can be on the webpage, the city's webpage, can be in
Be
the
advertised in
newsletter.
the monthly newsletter and send,
Right,
we
there's
can also
various-
send flyers.
Right, there's various ways of sending the message out there. And this applies to all residential properties.
por las personas que no hablen inglés, voy a intentar a traducir lo que el programa que establecemos, lo que queremos establecer. Por los siguientes 6 meses, si piensan que tienen una estructura ilegal, un baño, un cuarto, vengan a la ciudad, repórtenlo y no se les va a multar. No van a tener que pagar nada. Por 6 meses. Tienen un periodo de 6 meses para reportar cualquier estructura que posiblemente sea ilegal.
I'm going to take this a step.
They're asking, what do we do with the people who were fined already?
What I recommend we do is set up an appointment with the city
Can I meet
administrator.
with them on an individual basis? Sure.
Yeah.
Set up an appointment with the city administrator and let's look at the case.
I take each individual case.
Yeah. Vengan a verme si gustan mañana. Y, or Steve, can you take their names and numbers down, please? Pueden ver a Steve, le dan su nombre y su número de teléfono y nos lo citamos y vamos a ver qué podemos hacer. Sí. Sí, está bien, señora. Por favor, si puede apuntar su nombre.
Joe, I would also like to suggest that when you start sending out those pamphlets to the people in the community, make sure that you make some in Spanish also.
Oh,
They're,
definitely.
they're
Okay.
being translated as we speak.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to take this a step further, Mayor. Okay, that's not really in the staff report, but it's something that I've been discussing with the city administrator's office for a couple of months. Okay, these fees that we assess, these are fees established by code books. Okay, we've adopted those by reference, and it allows me just a very small amount of flexibility in making an interpretation because I don't have the authority to just change fees and charge one person X amount of dollars and charge another person X amount of dollars. The reason why these fees are very expensive, let's take a garage conversion, for example, one that's got a lot of improvements in there with the plumbing, electrical, mechanical, building, everything. It's $183 per building trade, per building permit, per electrical permit, per plumbing, and per mechanical, plus the $30 issuance, okay? And that's if you're owner occupied. That's if you didn't know. That's if you claim you didn't know that a permit was required because the actual building code says it's double that. It's actually 300 and change. And I have decided that as of last Monday, I was going to be making, I had made an administrative decision on my own through the city administrator's office that we're only going to be charging that $183 fee one time only, okay? The administrative permit that's being assessed, that's because you didn't come to us, we came to you. There's a lot of work in process in these cases. There's a lot of paperwork, okay? So rather than charging it 4 times for the people that have an extensive conversion or bootleg, okay, it's going to be charged one time. So what they do is they charge the $183 4 times if it's that elaborate, plus the $30 issuance fee. That's $800 right there.
That's a lot of money.
Then they got to charge the demo permit fee, okay? So everything's still going to be intact, except what I'm saying is that if the inspector's going to go out there, he's already out there. Charge him that one time, okay? But if you're not going to listen to the building inspector's order, he has the authority to assess the additional $100 fine. It states so in the manual, okay? It states that in the building code. If they give you an administrative order to do something, you don't show up and you don't take care of it and you drag your feet on it, it creates problems. Okay, and that's why I say bring these cases to our attention, set up the meeting with the city administrator. He then usually calls me in there, brings in the file. Let's see if there's anything that can be done, or was it done correctly? I don't know, okay, until we investigate the case file, because there's hundreds of them out there, okay? So this item, what this item is doing here tonight, again, is creating the amnesty period, the amnesty program for the building permit fees, and by you approving that, it's effective tomorrow.
Another, Ernesto, I was thinking too, while you're talking, I think we need to educate the community, because I noticed a lot of the houses there are a lot of homes up for sale. And some of those might have garage conversions.
Yeah, right.
And we need to let the people out there know that.
That item, Mayor, is coming on the next agenda at the request of one of the council members regarding a pre-inspection program. It sort of exists right now, but it doesn't have a whole lot of teeth in it.
Yeah,
And I've been
because
working with the city attorney's office.
I agree with the pre-inspection program because to answer one of the things that was said this evening about realtors telling you, investigating and going back in the history of that home and everything and telling you everything about it. No, they don't. They want to sell the house to you. They are not interested in whether you've got a garage conversion or not. All they're interested in is making their dollar off of you. Their commission. So, you can't depend on a realtor to actually give you everything that you're supposed to know about that place. That's why it behooves you, whenever you know someone that's thinking about buying a home in this area, come over here and check it through Joe's office to see what the history on that place is.
The problem that we're having is that, and I know this personally, that there's advertising, they're listing these homes with a certain number of bedrooms when indeed they don't have those bedrooms permitted.
Right. That extra
Okay?
bedroom is a
They're
garage
actually
conversion.
trying to sell you a garage conversion, which is not legal.
That's right.
What's happening is, though, the transaction still goes through. And correct me if I'm wrong, John, if the transaction goes through and it wasn't disclosed, okay, and the previous owner didn't know about it, now you're stuck with that garage conversion or room addition, whatever it is. But if you knew about it and he didn't disclose it. Now, the new owner, potentially, I don't want to give legal opinion, may have an issue.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, one of the things that we're going to implement, and actually at the last meeting, Councilmember Chidas brought this up,
Yeah.
and it's a very difficult issue. When someone buys a house and all of a sudden they've inherited a host of problems that now they're being, basically held accountable for. And so what we're going to try to do is, and Joe's been working with us. In fact, Joe actually brought this up to me months ago because he experienced firsthand that this was a frustration. So one of the things that we're going to do is put together an ordinance or a program where basically it freezes the escrow up, the transaction, until these things are actually caught. So it's going to be frustrating for the realtors, and it may be frustrating for the sellers, but it's going to be for the benefit of the buyers, and also it's going to help us in the long run because we want to be able to put everything in abeyance until we get this cleared up. So in effect, you put a lien on the property pending things getting cleared up. So we're going to be bringing that before you as well,
Good.
and Joe and I are working on the details.
Because
so.
some of these poor people out here have been caught in that catch-22 situation, and I don't want to see that happening anymore.
Well,
You
what
know,
what this ordinance will do is at least help the current transactions.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately, what's already happened, the damage has been done.
Yeah.
Okay? But what we're going to do is stop the bleeding.
Well,
Okay? Too many
But-
transactions are occurring out there that I've noticed that are trying to push a three-bedroom, two-bath home that was actually one bedroom, one bath. And I've noticed also the garage conversions are being sold as is as well. So we're going to try to stop the bleeding on that.
I know that most people don't know all of the proper questions to ask when they're buying a property and what have you and everything, and the realtor is a lot of times is not going to tell you everything.
Well, if I can chime in here, I got to tell you that, I'm partially responsible for going into open houses in the city of Hawaiian Gardens. I used to be a real estate agent, okay? And I was an RDA director. And anytime I see an open house sign, I go to it. And usually I look at the name to see if the name's familiar. If it's not familiar, I have a real sneaky suspicion that a real estate agent is probably from out of town, kind of feels that he could sell a house to somebody who's unsuspecting here because they're not as sophisticated when it comes down to understanding building codes or understanding loan agreements or anything. They take advantage of us, okay? They take advantage of our people. And so what I do at open houses, I walk through the open house. They don't know who I am. They don't know me from Adam because they're from out of the area, okay? Some people, when they come to the open house and they see me, they go, "Oh, hi, Leonard." I say, "Shh." But when I see something like that and I know what to look for because I'm a real estate agent, then I would come back and I would tell the community development director that, hey, I think we got a problem with this house. They're selling it as a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and it looks like it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house, okay? The problem, let me tell you what really the problem is here, is you're paying for the 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, okay? And a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house may be worth $525,000 to $550,000. A 1-bedroom, 1-bath house is probably worth about $300,000, okay? So not only are you going to have to pay for the demolition of those rooms, you're also paying an extra $200,000 down the drain. Okay, has been an issue with me here in this town for years, and I've made this a big to-do in my tenure as a city council person to try to rectify this, and we are trying to do that. But I got to tell you, sometimes we're not aware. I mean, we had a situation where we had a community event, and they had a lender out that we rented a space to. Okay, and when I walked up to the lender, I asked the lender, well, she goes, well, you want to get a loan on your house? You want to buy a house? We got a loan. I said, yeah. Well, how much is it going to cost me? She looked at me. She says, huh? I said, how much is it going to cost me? Are you going to give me money straight? You're not going to give me money for free, right? So the money costs you money.
Yeah.
Okay. So I asked her, so what's your APR? Well, that depends on you. And when you hear something like that, your little antennas should go up. Because what they're going to do is they're going to interview you to see how smart you are. And believe me, if you're not sophisticated enough to know the difference between an APR and an interest rate, okay, they're going to raise their profit because you don't know the difference. Okay? And this is part of the problem that we had here. We're guilty of having people come in and do that. And I made this known to the city administrator that from now on, if they don't post their interest rates up above the board, you know what? I don't think we should be renting them a booth at city events. You know, we need to protect. We have an obligation to protect our people in our city of Hawaiian Gardens. And by God, we got to keep away these shysters from taking advantage of people. Not only real estate agents, but loan officers who also do that kind of thing. So these are the kinds of things that we're moving forward. I don't think you're going to find too many other cities around that takes this kind of active approach to dealing with housing and everything else. And yeah, we've had some bumps in the road and everything like that. But you know what? I think by and large, this city's pretty progressive when it comes down to things like that. And I want to thank staff for that. Thank our city administrator. And I think you're going to find that the city's absolutely going to change, and it'll change for the better. And I think we just got to protect our citizens when we're doing that.
Okay. Are we at the point where we can vote on this thing?
Motion second?
I'm going to make a motion to waive further reading and adopt Resolution 079, 2006.
Second.
Any discussion? All in
Betty?
favor?
Yeah, aye.
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 Motion carries.
That's carried.
Item B, consent calendar. Motion to accept consent calendar in its entirety.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion items. C1, a request from the Community Development Department to reject the one bid received for the city entry sign project at various locations and to provide direction to staff. Staff report?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, as you know, we had previously approved the monument sign program for the City of Hawaiian Gardens, and you had approved a specific design at various locations. We have gone out to bid. The city engineer's estimate is $50,000. Only one contractor submitted a proposal, and it's from Bravo Sign Design of $86,640. It was reviewed again by the city engineer, and they're still sticking to that price. This bid is overpriced. They're recommending to reject.
I'm going to move to reject.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. New business, closed session.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we do have a closed session. Significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code, Section Subdivision B of Section 54956.9. We have two potential cases. We would ask the council to recess rather than adjourn the city council into the redevelopment agency, and then we'll have a closed session at the end.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Oral staff reports.
Now we're going to
No, you still have to go oral staff reports and oral council reports. We just don't adjourn.
Okay, oral staff reports.
Yeah, we do have one, Mayor.
Madam Mayor and members of the council, as Mr. Colombo referred to earlier, this Saturday, September 30th, is the grand opening of the Dead End Street projects. The event is going to be held from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on 226th Street between Devlin and Arlene. We're having a ribbon cutting ceremony, music, food, information booths, a bike expo, as well as jumpers for the children. So hope to see you and the public out there on Saturday.
Good.
Okay, oral council reports.
I think we went through them all.
Okay, I will open the Community Redevelopment Agency regular meeting. Call to order. Roll call, please.
Director Chavez?
Here.
Director Schultz?
Here.
Director Canada?
Here.
Vice Chair Member Heckerman?
Here.
Chair Member Prida?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Oral communications. This is a time reserved for members of the audience wishing to speak on agenda items on and not on the agenda. This period will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Maximum time allocated is 15 minutes. Anybody wishing to speak, please step forward and give us your name and address for the record. Okay. No one?
Got one person.
My name is Carmen. I'm speaking on behalf of my parents, 22003 Elaine. Our house was one of the homes that was shown on the slide, and I understand where Nestle's coming from regarding the canopies and the tarps. A tarp is a tarp. That doesn't beautify the home. But a canopy, that's for your carport. That doesn't take away from your home. To me, it makes it look a lot cleaner. And he went through the slideshow, and he did say, these homes are okay. Well, that was one of my parents' homes. And their carport was not in the front yard. It was on the side of the house, towards the back. But yet, they were still asked to be removed, or they would be cited for it. So, he's
I'm going to be
contradicting
coming.
himself.
I'm going to be coming down to speak to your parents about that.
Okay.
But we will address it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
I got one more.
My name is Isabel Delgadillo. I live at 22201 Clarkdale Avenue. I have a curiosity about something. I noticed driving on that new street, the new one that they just built, there were little patches of grass, at the end of the street. And I was thinking, why would they just have grass there? I mean, it's something that the city is going to have to maintain. And to me, by looking at it, it seems like, what a good spot for the little cholitos to hang out. You know what I mean? To stand around. I noticed that the fences are really close to the houses. And I thought, well, why couldn't they ask the owners if they wanted to purchase the land so that they can have a little more yard than what they do and not have to worry about cutting the grass every, so often. That's what my curiosity is. Why did they do that? I mean, and you're not talking about one street. You're talking about several streets. And there's also a little corner on 223rd and Violeta that has the same purpose. But this one is a little bit different. This one has a little sidewalk going through it. And I think it does have a bench. I'm not quite sure. But it does have something there where I guess people can sit and rest or maybe, hang around on a summer's night or in the evening where they can talk. But that also has to be maintained. I mean, and what was the purpose of doing those little pieces when a lot of houses don't have a lot of property to begin with, and yet they're taking away that property and using it for something that I don't think has a purpose. Thank you.
May I address that?
Yeah.
Mayor? Sure. Good point. You raised a very good point. The reason why we put sod there, and by the way, we are in process of contacting all the property owners to see if they're interested in buying the properties. But the reason why we put sod and fence there is because for some reason or another, if we leave the property just empty with no grass and no fence, people tend to dump things on there. So a lot of the cities, some of the surrounding cities, what they do is they put the sod and the fence up, and it's worked for some people. For some reason, the residents seem to respect it and appreciate it a little more when we put the sod and the fence up, and it makes it look nicer. So we are in the process of trying to work with the property owners to see if we're able to sell them the additional properties that will hopefully, develop into a better property for them. But that's the reason why we're doing it, to beautify and to hope that they're not going to come dump things on there. Yeah.
¿Ya? Mi nombre es Lilia Medina y me gustaría saber cuál es el problema para no poner un techo. Yo pedí permiso para un techo y les expliqué que tenía mucha termita Entonces, que yo sé que iba a quitar la madera, no sabía cuánta, porque si tengo termita posiblemente va a ser toda, ¿verdad? Oh, gracias. Entonces después, otro día vine porque se quitó toda. Entonces fue el inspector, porque habíamos quedado que si se quitaba toda, lo que fuera, dice, según quiten el techo, vienes mañana y va el inspector. Ok, vine y les avisé, fue el inspector. En cuanto llegó, oh no, tú desmantelaste todo el techo, necesito plano. Bueno, ya se está poniendo la madera, se hizo un plano, vino, no lo aceptó, se hizo otro y nos traía vuelta y vuelta y vuelta. Con el contratista, me dijo que él no quería hablar nada con él. Ok, si él viene, le dice una cosa. Yo vengo y me dice otra. Me pidieron todo lo que, en el departamento de Los Ángeles está todo el plano de la casa. Me mandaron a un lugar, no lo encontré, me dijeron que para un techo no era nada de eso, no lo necesitaban y que ahí no era el lugar adecuado para eso. Me fui a otro lado. Total, ayer lo recogí, ahora temprano vino mi hija y se quedaron los papeles aquí. Ahora no sé qué va a pasar, pero causa eso no me han dejado terminar mi techo porque si se quita se tiene que levantar. Y él se le explicó que se le levantaron 6 pulgadas y ahora él, nomás el inspector va, no quiero hablar con tu carpintero, no quiero hablar nada contigo, Tomás tú dile, márcale por favor lo que tiene ahí, lo que tiene que hacer y lo que no tiene que hacer. Entonces me dijo, yo no tengo que marcar nada, dile tú. Le dije, yo no soy carpintera ni te estoy entendiendo nada de lo que tú me estás diciendo. Bueno, se fue. Quedó de ir con él, está el carpintero, el señor, ¿cómo se dice? O el señor que anda haciendo el trabajo. No llores, no llores. ¿Okay? Entonces, fue, le dice un día, una hora, lo espera todo el día, no va. Otro día que habla con él, dice que temprano este señor pierde de trabajar.
¿Con el inspector?
Sí, pierde de trabajar, no va. Y de vuelta es lo mismo y el señor el contratista tiene sus trabajos y se está perdiendo de trabajar. Mi pregunta es, ¿cuándo me van a dejar de terminar mi techo?
Mire, venga a verme mañana y podemos hablar con ellos para ver qué es lo que está pasando. The resident here has an issue with the roofing. She wanted to replace the roof originally, and apparently they required her to submit plans, and she's been going through a plan check, and she's been having some problems. So it's probably going to take some time to review her file and plans and all, and see what's going on.
Inclusive en la mañana vino también él y no quiso ver ni los planos. Ya van 2 planos que me hace gastar y es puro dinero y dinero. Me está diciendo que me va a costar mucho dinero. Pues total, si va, yo sé que tengo que pagar, pero también que me deje hacer el trabajo, que me firme para que se termine. Queda de ir, no va. Y si va, ya con mi hija le dijo, ¿sabes qué? A mi mamá no le digas nada, no tienes que ir a faltarle al respeto ni a gritarle. Porque al irme a gritar en mi casa es faltarme al respeto.
Sí.
Entonces a mí no me gusta.
No.
Y eso no está bien porque no está haciendo su trabajo como debe de ser. Yo soy mujer y él es hombre y debe de respetar a las mujeres.
Claro que sí.
Y más porque vivimos en la ciudad de Hawaiian Garden, él tiene que respetar y hacer su trabajo.
Estamos 100% de acuerdo. Por favor, ¿me puede venir a ver en la mañana?
¿A qué horas?
A las 8:30.
Ok. ¿En dónde lo busco?
Aquí, en esta oficina, en el área de recepción.
Ok,
So you'll
gracias.
see if you can work with her on that and
Yeah.
help her out. Okay.
Ya, un poco.
Anybody else? Okay, resolutions. A1, adopt resolution number 2006-026, approving pre-issue warrants and regular warrants in the amount of $38,158.43.
Move to waive further reading, adopt resolution 2006-026.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Director Chairez?
Aye.
Director Schultz?
Yes.
Director Canada?
Yes.
Vice Chairmember Heckerman?
Yes.
Chairmember Frida?
Yes.
Motion carries.
A2, adopt resolution number 2006-027, a request from the Community Development Department to consolidate the existing white picket fence program with a new and expanded city beautification program and to approve the amended program guidelines. Staff report.
Wait a minute, Betty. Got a staff report.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, as you know, we've previously discussed this item in the past, and we currently have a program right now, as you know, which is the White Picket Fence Program, which has been very successful, as you know. It's a program that gives you up to $5,000, and with a rebate of 75%, 25%. The city paid 75%, the resident would pay 25%. And on that 25%, I believe they also allowed you to go into some type of a repayment plan at no interest. We had a request that they wanted to do something very similar with garage doors. And so in discussing this with the city administrator's office, we thought that we ought to just have one program which would address everything, not just the garage doors, but anything that deals with maintenance on your property, code violations, irrigation, sod, garage doors, painting, a new roof, just various things that would help make the property a lot more presentable, aesthetically more pleasing. And so we came up with this program, and it was discussed at one of the couple of meetings ago, and I believe it was Councilmember Canada who had suggested that we raise this to $10,000 rather than the $7,500, and that's what we did. We brought back the program with just those terms, where you can get $10,000 of free money from the city, and again with the 75%, 25% terms and the loan component. Only that what's different about this program, unlike the CDBG program, is there's no income guidelines. Okay. Also,
That's
if you're a homeowner or a tenant or an absentee landowner, either one would qualify. There are a lot of homes here that are absentee landlords. And so we're just hoping to beautify these homes and help them bring these properties up to code and to better standards, better living standards in the community. The resolution basically would combine the two programs together, and we hope that we would get more funding for this program, as I believe this program is going to be very popular, and we'll probably have to come back to you to do some type of program amendment on this program, as originally there was $100,000 budgeted, and all we're doing is carrying
I think we're going to have to up that.
that amount into this program, and I know that we will be back very shortly to request the additional funds, because the program is going to be very popular, and we're excited about having a program like this and give the community a program like this, because after all, again, we're just trying to clean up the city, and we do have a lot of revenue coming from that casino, and that's what makes this possible, is to put this back into the community.
So my understanding is that by doing this, we're going to raise the grant to $10,000. That's a grant if you want to rehab your home. If we approve this, you'll get $10,000 if you're approved on that grant, and you don't have to pay it back. That's free money, people.
Maybe you should.
So.
Second.
She's got it.
Any discussion?
Mayor Prida and council members, keep in mind, a lot of our residents fall into the low economic class. And I didn't talk to Joe about this, but I would suggest making it a 100% rebate program. I mean, there is a need out there. You heard the public, and they want to comply. And I'm sure as long as we regulate it and monitor it appropriately, we're going to see some very good results.
Yeah, well, I've said for a long time, that we wanted to try to, and this whole council wants the same thing. We want to try and return the money that we're bringing into this city now back to the community in some way, shape, or form. And this is one way of doing it. And I'm along with you. I agree on that.
Mayor Pro Tem, and we can do that legally because it is for a public purpose.
Good.
So we can go up to 100% if you'd like to.
You want to amend your motion?
Yeah.
To include that?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
There you go.
Item B, consent calendar.
Move to receive and file in its entirety.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion items. Business.
You were just going to mention closed session.
Yeah, we got to finish. Madam Chair, we do have
I have.
6 items for closed session.
Okay.
And we would also ask that we recess the redevelopment agency to the Public Housing Authority, and after the Public Housing Authority will entertain all the closed session items.
I should go with this one.
Yes.
Okay, so.
Unless there's oral staff reports or oral agency reports.
No staff reports at this time.
Okay. Oral agency reports.
Nope.
Okay. We now,
Now we do musical chairs. Yeah, there's basically nothing on there. Yeah, so I'm going to ask her. You want to take a 5-minute break? I think everybody probably needs one about now. Well, that's true, too. Yeah, just go ahead. We can run through this real quick.
yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, run through this and then get out of here.
Okay. I will now call the Public Housing Authority to order. Roll call, please.
Director Canoy? Director Mahar?
Ask that Director Mahar be excused. She's still recuperating from surgery.
Second.
Okay.
Director Chairez?
Here.
Director Schultz? Director Canada?
Yes.
Vice Chair Member Hickerman?
Here.
Chair Member Prida?
Yes.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Oral communications, items on and not on the agenda. This is a time reserved for members of the audience wishing to speak on agenda items. This period will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Maximum time allocated is 15 minutes. Anybody wishing to speak, please step forward and give us your name and address for the record. There be.
This is items on or not on the agenda, ma'am.
My name is Isabel Delgadillo. I live at 22201 Clarkdale Avenue, Hawaiian Gardens. Okay, I just had I was just thinking about when you guys, your committee already voted on it, but I do have a concern about lending money to people who are absentees, owners. I feel that they're getting an income already from the people they're renting to. So I don't see how it's fair for these people who are renting their houses, and we don't even know how many houses they have. They might have 10, and then they're benefiting from the program. I feel that it should be focused on the people who are buying their house or single family dwellings, but it should be for them,
I think you're going to find that we're going to address that situation, and it's going to be those residents that own here first, period. The absentee landowners are a different story, and they'll be addressed at a later point,
Okay.
if need be. But the occupants of these homes, the people that own your homes out here, are going to get first crack at this money.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Already did roll call.
A1, adopt resolution number 2006-014, approving warrants for housing assistance payments for the total of $61,267.61.
Move to waive further reading, adopt resolution 2006-014.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Director Canoy? Director Chairez?
Yes.
Director Schultz? Director Canada?
Yes.
Vice Chair Member Heckerman?
Yes.
Chairmember Frida?
Yes.
Motion carries.
B1, consent calendar.
Move to
section-
receive and file.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
C, discussion items. C1, approval of minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. New business, closed session, oral staff reports, oral board reports.
Okay, let's go to closed session.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Madam Chair, members of the council and the agency. The council and the agency did conduct a duly authorized closed session. There were 2 items for exposure litigation, and there were 8 items on property negotiations. After discussion, the council did not take any action, which is reportable at this time. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, so now I can
Now you-
Thank you very much, Mary Canoi.
to adjourn.
Move adjournment.
Carmela, you've changed.